The story of Lord Ganesha, who is also known as the elephant headed god. The magnificent Mount Kailash was Lord Shiva and goddesses Parvati's abode. One day, goddesses Parvati summoned Nandi, the guardian of Kailash. Soon, Nandi stood before her. Mother, command me. How can I serve you? Nandi bowed down. Parvati said, Nandi, today I don't want to be troubled, so guard the door and let no one inside. She then went to take a bath. Nandi stood guard at the palace entrance and intended to faithfully carry out Parvati's wishes. Lord Shiva's arrival put Nandi in a grave dilemma. What shall I do? I must stop my lord if I wish to obey Mother Parvati, Nandi thought. My lord, I apologize, but Mother Parvati is taking a bath and has strictly instructed me not to let anyone in. Nandi bowed apologetically. As my trusted servant, step aside and let me pass. Shiva was furious and strode into the palace. Mahadev, what brings you here? Parvati was angry at this instruction of her privacy. Shiva was amused and tried to soothe her. However, Parvati was upset that she had no one as loyal as Nandi was to Shiva. She approached Nandi at the palace gates. I commanded you to guard the door and not let anyone in without my permission, but you didn't obey me. Parvati was enraged. Mother, my loyalty first lies with Shiva. I cannot revolt against him. He questioned my faith in him, Nandi replied. Parvati was disappointed and sent Nandi away. Parvati discussed the matter with her friends. One of them suggested, why don't you create an attendant of your own, one who shall be loyal only to you? Parvati decided that it was a good idea. She went inside the palace chambers and collected some turmeric paste. She gathered saffron from her body and made a statue of a child. Then she breathed life into it. Parvati was pleased with her own creation and blessed him. You're my loyal son, Heramba, my child, my sweet dear child. You must promise to guard the palace entrance and not let anyone in, not even Mahadev, said Parvati. I promise you, mother, said the child and accepted a staff as a weapon from Parvati. Hiramba patiently stood at the entrance. Shortly after, Lord Shiva returned. He failed to recognize the boy, and to his astonishment, the boy blocked his way. Who are you? Move aside, let me pass. I am Shiva, one of the creators of the universe. Shiva spoke with authority. I am Heramba, son of Parvati. I can't let you enter without her permission, the youth exclaimed. Shiva tried to reason with Heramba, but the boy refused to move. Heramba then struck Shiva with the staff. Shiva blocked the attack with his trishul. Furious, Shiva left the palace grounds. Shiva returned to Mount Kailash, where his attendants sensed his turmoil. Mahadev, you look upset. What is bothering you? Nandi asked. I went to my palace, but there was a foolish boy who wouldn't let me enter, exclaimed Shiva. How can anyone dare to stop you? Nandi said, astonished. Nandi, I ordered you to defeat this youth and take him as a prisoner, Shiva said sharply. Nandi marched towards the palace to execute Shiva's command. At the palace gates, Heramba stood resolutely holding his staff. He refused to move aside, even when he saw Shiva's followers approaching him. I warn you, boy, if you don't move aside, you will face our wrath. Nandi warned Heramba. I will allow someone in only when Mother Parvati says so, said Heramba. You foolish child. I challenge you to a duel. Nandi raised his staff. They started fighting, but soon Heramba threw Nandi on the ground, and Lord Shiva's disciplines were stunned at the boy's strength. They attacked him but were overpowered easily. Defeated by the youth, Nandi and the other disciplines fled the battlefield. On Mount Kailash, Shiva called his son Kartikeya and said, Son, Heramba was wreaked much havoc already. I command you to bring him here. Show him no mercy in the battlefield. Kartikeya was skeptical about fighting his own brother, but he couldn't disobey his father and went ahead. Heramba, I want you to reconsider your decision, or you will face the consequences, Kartikeya announced. But Heramba refused to go back on his promise, and the brothers started to fight. They both had similar combat skills, but at last Heramba attacked him with his staff. Kartikeya fainted immediately. Nandi returned to Shiva carrying an unconscious Kartikeya in his hand. Seeing his son's condition aggravated Shiva, and he said, I'll kill that youth with my bare hands. Lord Shiva came forward and said, Mahadev, suppress your anger. Let me settle this without further bloodshed. But Shiva had run out of patience, so with his army of Ganas and other devas, he advanced to the palace. Sensing danger to Heramba's life, Parvati summoned goddesses Kali and Durga to protect her son. They gave all their strength to Heramba. Heramba was unfazed by Shiva and defeated his huge army. Shiva fired the most potent weapon at Heramba, but none of them killed him. Lord Vishnu wanted to end the battle between Shiva and Heramba, so he decided to intervene and said, Mahadev, let me handle the youth with my supreme power. Vishnu charged to Heramba. When that didn't work, he mounted his vehicle, Garuda, and attacked him from the sky. But Heramba stood strong. Lord Shiva broke Heramba's staff in two, and to Vishnu's utter shock, the youth started fighting with his bare hands. So far a spectator, Lord Shiva realized that Heramba was dominating the fight. So Shiva hurled his Trishul at him to end the fight immediately. The Trishul was Shiva's most powerful weapon, and it severed Heramba's head. Shiva had killed Parvati's son Heramba. Vishnu was aghast and said, How will we ever pacify Mother Parvati? Her anger and retribution will be catastrophic. Parvati was in the bath when she heard the news of her son's death. She was filled with grief and wept bitterly, but soon her sorrow turned into a fury that knew no bounds and threatened to destroy the world. She decided to destroy the entire universe as a consequence of the Deva's action. Brahma witnessed the wrath of Parvati and apologized to her on behalf of Shiva. Mother, forgive us and please don't destroy the universe, pleaded Brahma. You all killed my son, who was simply following my orders, Parvati roared. Vishnu, Indra, and Brahma tried to put an end to the destruction and feared complete annihilation. But Parvati didn't stop and manifested hundreds of goddesses who started wreaking havoc on the gods. I shall be calm only when my son is brought back to life, Parvati replied. The gods went to Lord Shiva and appealed, Lord, we are being punished by Mother Parvati and we request you to resurrect Hiramba. I accept your request and instruct you to go in the northern direction. Bring me the head of the first animal you come across. Shiva replied. The gods followed the instruction and went to the forest. They returned with the head of an elephant. Shiva chanted the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, placing the elephant head on Hiramba's body. Hiramba was alive once again. When Parvati saw her son breathing, she rushed forward to embrace him. He has transformed into a humble person. He shall be eternally divine and be acknowledged as the God of knowledge and wisdom throughout the world. He will be known as Ganesha, the head of Ganas, and shall be worshipped first. Before every auspicious event, Shiva declared. Parvati was satisfied with Shiva's blessings. Shiva and Parvati went back to their abode along with their two sons. The gods worshipped Ganesha and returned to their respective abodes as well. One day, Kuber, the god of wealth, came to meet Lord Shiva and Parvati. Kuber believed that he was the richest god of all. What brings you here, Kuber? Shiva asked politely. Kuber bowed down and said, I am going to hold a lavish dinner at my place and have come here to invite you and Mother Parvati. The divine couple knew that Kuber just wanted to show off his riches to them, so they declined his invitation. Ganesha is fond of eating, so take him with you, Shiva said warmly. Kuber agreed to take Ganesha with him. Ganesha was astonished to see so much food in front of him, but he noticed Kuber bragging about his wealth to his guests and decided to teach him a lesson and proceeded to eat. Delicious. Ganesha devoured his dinner quickly. He ate so much that he ended up finishing all the food. Ganesha didn't stop eating and ate all the food cooked for the feast. There was hardly any food left for other guests, so he moved on to Kuber's wealth and started to eat all the gold. Then he began to eat vessels, dishes, furniture, and other things in Kuber's city. The guests were amazed at Ganesha's feat. Ganesha's hunger was still not satisfied, and he demanded more food. Kuber was embarrassed in front of his guests. Ganesha went to the kitchen and ate all the food stored there. The servants came out running from the kitchen and complained to Kuber, Lord, Ganesha gobbled everything. There is nothing left to serve to the other guests. Kuber was terrified. He cautiously approached Ganesha and lamented, I apologize, Ganesha, but there isn't a single grain I can offer you now. Upon hearing Kuber's words, Ganesha was angry and threatened to swallow Kuber to satisfy his hunger. Kuber panicked and rushed to Lord Shiva's abode, Mount Kailash, for protection. Mahadev, save me and tell me a way to satisfy Ganesha's hunger, he begged Shiva and Parvati. Shiva gave me a bowl of cereal and said, serve this to Ganesha with humility. Kuber realized his mistake and asked for forgiveness for his pride and learned a lesson in humility. He offered the bowl to Ganesha. Ganesha's hunger was quenched after eating the cereal. After Ganesha stuffed himself at Kuber's house, he proceeded to leave. He ate so much that he got a pot belly and it became difficult for him to even walk. He then called his vehicle, Moshak, who was a mouse, and mounted it. But Ganesha was so heavy that his vehicle also got tired. Suddenly he fell off his vehicle. Why did you drop me? Ganesha asked his mouse. The mouse feared punishment and pointed towards a snake at a distance. Lord, it wasn't my fault. The snake came in my way, said the mouse. The moon had been watching the entire scene unfold and began to laugh at Ganesha's predicament. Ganesha picked up the snake and threw it as far as he could. Then he turned to the moon and said, "You made fun of me and humiliated me." The moon continued laughing, which made Ganesha furious. Ganesha cursed the moon and making it completely invisible. "Forgive me, Lord. I didn't mean to offend you. How will I live without my shine? Please take your curse back," the moon begged Ganesha. Laughing at somebody else's weaknesses or deformities doesn't suit you. It was impolite of you, Ganesha said. The moon realized his mistake and asked for forgiveness. Ganesha saw a change in the moon's behavior and said, "I'll forgive you. You'll appear and disappear every 15 days in a set cycle. That way you will not lose your shine." While on Mount Kailash, sage Agastya sought the blessing of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. The sage wished to create a river in the southern lands. The gods fulfilled his wish and filled his kamandalu with sacred water and said, "A river will flow wherever you pour the water in this kamandalu. All the animals and villagers will rejoice and have their fill." Agastya was pleased and headed to the mountains of Kurg. He was tired and began to look for a place where he could rest. Sage Agastya came across a small boy standing behind a tree. "Who's standing there? Come out," he asked curiously. The boy was Ganesha himself, and he told the sage that he was just playing with his vehicle, the mouse. Ganesha was curious about the sage's kamandalu and asked about his purpose. The sage told Ganesha what he had planned. "Ganesha, I walked all day and now my legs hurt very much. I request you to hold this kamandalu till I rest, but make sure that not a single drop spills from it," Agastya said. Ganesha assured Agastya that he would guard the kamandalu. Then Agastya sat on a hilltop to get some peace. Everyone here in the mountains of Kur is thirsty and crying for water. Without water, the plants are withering and the animals are dying. We should not cause any more delay. But Sage Agastya looks very tired. Ganesha said to his mouse. He realized that it was an ideal location for the river. Ganesha set the Kamandalu down and took the form of a crow. When Sage Agastya came back, he saw a crow hovering over the Kamandalu. Then it landed on the pot. Agastya tried to show off the bird, but the crow flew off, flapping its wings, and tipped the pot to the ground. What has this crow done? Agastya was appalled. Water started to flow out of the Kamandalu. First, it began as a trickle, then a stream, and as it flowed down the hills, it took the form of a river. It was later named Kaveri. Sage Agastya, I apologize that it didn't work out the way you had wished. Nevertheless, you have blessed this dried land. Ganesha bowed and left. Ganesha was a very mischievous child and often harassed defenseless animals. One day he went out to play with his friends and his vehicle Mushak. Suddenly, Ganesha came across a white cat coming out of the bushes. Oh, look, this cat also came to play with us, Ganesha said, laughing. Ganesha and his friends surrounded the cat and proceeded to tease it. He troubled and mistreated it for a long time. He then pulled its tail, but the cat meowed in pain. Having played the whole day, Ganesha was tired, so he let the cat go away. Ganesha went back to Mount Kailash, but there he was shocked to see his lovely mother Parvati in a wounded condition. Her face and arms were all scratched. Who did this to you, mother? Ganesha asked worriedly. You, my child. I wanted to play with my son, so I disguised myself as a cat, Parvati said. She then told her son that the mistreatment of animals reflected poorly on his own mother. Ganesha repented his action. He promised to treat animals gently and treated them with love and affection.